What if I told you you have already hired the most important vendor for your backyard wedding and you don't even know it? Before you hire a florist, book a caterer, or rent a single table, your backyard is already making planning decisions for you.
Hey, now everything's alright. We've been longing for each other, and it feels like I'm on cloud nine.
Tonight, I wanted to sit outside of the showroom at the farmhouse tables under the lights and have a chat with you about your very first vendor. Like, wow, we're getting married, we're engaged, and picking your backyard as your venue. And what did you start thinking about right away? Did you start thinking about your colors, your flowers, the dress? How about your table settings? These are all the fun things. You deep dive in on Pinterest. But before you can plan any of those things, there's one vendor who's already making a lot of your decisions that are going to impact your day. Most people think that the vendors are the people they hire, like the photographer, the florist, caterer, DJ. There's a vendor that you've not spoken to, you haven't picked up the phone, but is already making big decisions for you. Because your first vendor as a backyard bride is your backyard. You already hired it, it's your venue. And every venue has strengths and limitations, and so does your backyard. So before you call and hire a florist, let's ask your backyard, what are you trying to tell me? So what is your backyard trying to tell you? Does it tell you that the sun comes up over here and it sets over there? And depending on where we have our ceremony, we might have sun in the eyes of our guests, or is there enough shade? Electricity, like when we started the process, we did not have electrical outlets all over our yard. And now, even by all these trees, there are electrical outlets. So how much electricity does your yard have? How about grass? What's the condition of the grass? Ours is summer grass, so it's not too pretty. Our winter grass is gorgeous, though. So do we have flat grass? Do we have lumpy grass? The entry, is your entry going to be like, are we bottlenecking to get our guests in and out of our entry? Do we have a really big area for our entry? Even if a lot of your guests are carpooling or Ubering or lifting, and there isn't going to be as much parking. See, that's one of the cool things about the day and age we're in now is backyard brides. There's not as many cars showing up if you plan right? So there isn't as much of a neighborhood issue. There's still always a little one, but usually not as much. But you still have to worry about where your cars are all going and where the family's cars are going to go and where the exit vehicle is going to go. So there's parking issue. Do you have areas in your yard that flood? We do. If it's a small little rain, it doesn't flood too much. But if it's a bigger rain, oh boy, we have an issue and we can't really get around our issue. So our plan B would be to not use that area of the yard. But how bad is your flooding? So what is your backyard trying to tell you? If the backyard is really your first vendor, then how do you interview your first vendor? And these are the conversations I have with my new backyard brides when we talk about their yard. The first question is probably the one that saves my brides the most stress. And that's because it's so easy to have a vision in your head about your wedding and about the experience and not make sure it's going to fit into the property. Can the property actually support your vision? Imagine you've been gifted a house. Wouldn't that be great? It'd be awesome. But you've been gifted a house, and so you've never been there. You've never measured the front room. You don't know how wide long the room is. And you go and you fall in love with a couch. You just, oh my gosh, we gotta buy this couch. So you buy the couch, and the couch gets, and you're just anticipating that couch, and you can see it, right? And then you get there that day, and you're like walking to the house, and you're like, I think we might have a problem. But you're hoping, no, I don't think we have a problem. I hope we don't have a problem. And then the couch gets delivered, and it won't even fit in through the front door. Well, the same thing can happen when we're wedding planning. We get so excited about the vision and that Pinterest deep dive we went on, and we're thinking farmhouse long tables or very elaborate ceremony and a really big dance floor and yard games for our guests. And we just got this really big vision. And maybe our yard can't hold it all right naturally right now, just the way we envision it. So the very first question I ask is, can your yard naturally support your vision and the experience you want your guests to have? That's the first question. Now, not just can it hold all my guests? Can it actually support the vision you want? Does it really support dancing? Does it support having your guests flow naturally all night, not feeling wrong or out of place? Like everything flows really well. Now, if the answer is no, not quite, that's okay. It doesn't mean you have the wrong backyard. It just means that's exactly where we start the planning process. So now that we've been talking about what's possible in our backyard, we need to look at the challenges in our backyard. So let's pretend your backyard is that person who's been patiently waiting to speak up, and there's these little cues that they want to say, but you haven't really been paying attention because you really didn't need to up to this point. But now I want you to ask your backyard, so what challenges are you showing me today? We've already kind of touched on this a little bit before, but go in the backyard, take a notebook and a piece of paper if you're old fashioned, take your phone and open a note. Make a list of challenges you see or potential challenges you might kind of think are going to be a problem. Make a list of them. That's the best thing for starting. The second thing for planning. Some of those challenges might be, we've already covered a little bit, but like power, parking, access, grass, uneven ground. We had one. We had uh, a berm, irrigation berm in our backyard, and that was a tripping hazard. So with dancing and the lights going down, there's a giant berm that people are gonna, guests are gonna be tripping over. So in order to make it safe for our guests, we went ahead and put on the checklist that we needed to get rope lights, and we lit up the whole berm with rope lights. Everyone had a great time. Everybody could see the berm and nobody tripped, and it's kind of fun and elegant. It kind of circled around the patio area, made it look even more romantic. So it's that kind of thing. It's basically, there is no perfect backyard. No, sorry. But really, the goal here is to identify the challenges early enough that you can make a plan so they don't become bigger issues. The last question is my favorite, and it's because we stop looking at your property as a problem and we start looking at it as an asset. Um, no wedding venue is remembered because it looks the same as every other wedding venue, right? The weddings that are remembered have something special about them. So the next question I want you to ask your backyard vendor, your venue, is what opportunities do you already have? Maybe it's a quaint setup, like a fireplace setup or a small pond, trees. Certain, like my yard's full of trees and grass. Maybe it's a wraparound porch or a garden or a mountain view or a sunset view. It could also just be that you've spent a lot of time around generations of your family in that yard. So no matter what it is, every backyard wedding has strengths. And the best backyard weddings are built around those strengths. Every vendor helps create your wedding. The photographer, the florist, the caterer, the DJ. But before they all arrive, your very first vendor, your backyard, already makes so many decisions along for you in the planning process. And that's why I call it your first vendor. And that's why your backyard is your first vendor. Because the moment you realize that your backyard is not just your backyard, it's actually your venue, everything changes. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. My name is Kelly Dawn. I'm your wedding mama without all the drama. And thank you for joining me tonight. I hope tonight's video made you look at your backyard differently. And if it did, good. If you want to have these conversations and ask these 3 questions about your own backyard in a very personal, intimate way about your specifics, that's what we do in my solid ground sessions. So book one of those. If you're not quite ready for a solid ground session, look for the link for my free download, Begin with Solid Ground, because before you can dance under the stars, you need solid ground under your feet. And it literally is the first step for a new backyard bride to stay feeling like the bride instead of turning into an event manager. We want you to feel like a bride, not an event manager, especially during this really fun time. And you only get to be engaged once, and you only get to plan your wedding once, and you only get your wedding day once. So let's do the things we can to protect that special sacred time for you. Anyway, appreciate you, and good night. How about parking? Parking is floods. Long tables, a really elaborate sets. The brain kind of works sometimes. Sometimes it forgets things. I wish my brain was still 30. To have a brain of a 30-year-old. That'd be amazing. Oh, and Reggie. I hope Reggie didn't run through the video too much tonight. Crazy dog. It's Reggie's Ranch. It's really what this place is called. Not Rosewood Ranch. Reggie's Ranch. But Rosewood Ranch is way more romantic for the brides. But I think it's really Reggie's Ranch. You can get out of the Arizona heat and go find the air conditioning. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, it feels like I'm on cloud nine.